We're recording.
All right, let's do this, yo.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wealth Talks. What is this episode number? Number 6?
Yeah, I think we're at like 6 now. Either
Okay.
way, it's another episode of just gems and knowledge and giving back, right? At this point, well, the numbers matter, yes, and just know that each episode we're coming with a gift, with fire. You know what I mean? Ultimately, just contribution. So just use each episode as a catalyst.
True indeed. And you see the growth, you see the progression. You know, we're already looking to elevate and step up the show with every episode, just always looking to get better. So just came here correct for the people. You know, much love to everyone that tuned in from episode 1 to now. But we don't really have an agenda for today's discussion, you know, because I feel like when we first came out, you know, we had the first episode. It was the introduction to wealth creation, like the different ways wealth can be created. And then after that, we kind of broke it down with a bit more information, whether it was real estate or the life insurance or investing into stocks. Did we touch on entrepreneurship already too?
Yeah, we touched on business, right? As one of the 4.
Okay, true indeed, right? So we touched on that too. And now it's like, well, where do we go from here? And it's like, I don't know. I was like, let's hit record. Let's talk about whatever comes to mind, and maybe in some way it'll tie back into wealth. But actually, there we go. That gives me my idea about what I want to talk about, matter of fact, because I think it's very important that we touched on like wealth creation, passing assets down generation to generation, you know, whether that's through starting your own business, buying stocks, having that life insurance, or owning real estate. But when we talk about wealth, when we talk about like the true wealth, the financial aspect is just a small part of that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like there's much bigger components that constitute true wealth. You know, like, yeah, you can look at it in the literal sense, just the financial terms, but looking at it from a holistic point of view, in the sense of like looking at the bigger picture, it's like there's a lot more to wealth than just dollar bills.
Absolutely. So elaborate on that.
Well, I think one of the most powerful things is love, you know? And that's like having love, showing love, sharing love, being loved, loving. And I feel like that's one of the biggest forms of wealth there is. What's your take on that? What's your perspective? Am I way off base here?
No, I don't think there's I don't think there's an on base or off. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm about baseball here, there's 4 places there's three bases anyway. So, love is most definitely one of the bases, most definitely, and it's, you know, we can look at, you know, the stories of, you know, many great celebrities who've, you know, amassed a large amount of wealth and still have taken their life. And why is that? Because love is missing. You know what I mean? So regardless of all your accomplishments, material accomplishments that, you know, society says, you know, we ought to go out and achieve and ought to, you know, having all that acquisition, if there's still an unfulfillment within oneself, then forget it. And that fulfillment that may be unfulfilled, you know, comes from or stems from a form of love. 100%.
And I think you touched on another part of it too, because when you talk about, you know, someone taking their life or doing something crazy like that, it's like they must have not have been happy. You know, maybe they have people that love them. Maybe they kind of love those people too, but ultimately didn't have happiness. And I feel like that's a big form of wealth too. If you ain't laughing, if you ain't making jokes, are you really wealthy? If you ain't having a good time? And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like we can just take this wealth topic bigger than the limited box that the dictionary wants to put it in. And I feel like love, happiness, Those are great places to start.
100%, man. And I feel like it's everything. You know what I mean? It's said, well, health is important too, but I feel like with love and happiness, right? They really are, a cornerstone to, I'd say, fulfillment in life. Because without those two components, one begins to question what's living worth. You know what I mean? Like why do I, exist, or for what purpose if I'm just unfulfilled or unhappy and, you know, unloved or not even giving love. You know what I mean? So I think those really are, very key aspects and components people should be looking at, right? Self-love. There's been a big movement of self-love. And, at first for me personally, especially being a guy, it's kind of like self-love. You kidding me? Forget that. You know what I mean? That's for the female. I got the ego. You know what I mean? And no, there is something to be said about, self-love and appreciation for, yourself and loving others. And the minute one could kind of tap into that, the creation of wealth or the creation of, I'd say even more happiness is fulfilled, and it will stem further than the monetary aspect.
That's a fact. And I feel like, man, maybe we should have started with this, because I feel like if we were to, I don't want to say, maybe this is like my Western schooling and indoctrination, but for some reason, I guess I kind of conditioned to look at things like levels or ranking or like hierarchy. But it's like, maybe it doesn't have to be like that. But anyways, back to my original thought, it's like, I would see the financial part like way below those, like it might, but then again, to bring it back to real estate, it does kind of stem from the foundation. And I feel like if you do have a solid financial foundation, a lot of those other things would possibly be easier to come by. Or am I flawed in that thinking?
So you're saying with, just so I'm in the same conversation, with the solid financial foundation, happiness and love would be easier to come by. Is that what you're articulating here or conveying?
Or there would just be less barriers, I guess, to achieving those states or having those things than if your financial situation was precarious and this was something that was causing you a lot of stress or, a lot of time or whatever other thing may come with that.
I hear you. And that could be like, not a rabbit hole, right? But it's like, I guess it comes down to the conversation, does one event and another event, are they actually related in life? You know what I mean? And we could bring, quote unquote, correlation, or we can make connections. But, in actuality, you know what I mean? It's like, if one has a solid financial foundation, does it really equate to love and happiness? Not really.
True.
And you can have love and happiness and not a solid foundation. And you guys could grow into that. You know what I mean? So in reality, they're all different pieces of the puzzle.
You're right. So it doesn't have to be like a hierarchy or a pyramid or like a ranking where this is number one.
Got it. Yeah, it's almost like Maslow's.
Together in the sense
exactly.
Of puzzle.
Maslow had something like that, like the hierarchy of needs, and that's been, I'm not sure if debunked is the right word, but everyone's come up with their own hierarchy of needs for human beings, right? Some say it's got to be survival at the first, you know what I mean? And then it goes to, wealth. Like I don't have it memorized right now, but I hear what you're saying, right? When it comes to, human being hierarchy of needs, once, this is fulfilled, then we gotta go up the ladder, go up the pyramid. And there is something to be said there And if we're looking at like a pyramid of wealth, so to speak, I feel like it's more of a pie than it is a pyramid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's important, like, to recognize, like, the errors in the ways that you might have a framework or your paradigm of way of looking at things, and to be open to different perspectives. Because, like, I think, like, this holistic approach that's becoming more commonplace in different fields like medicine, or, for example, or nutrition, I think, like, pardon me, I think, like, it's good to kind of be open to different ways of looking at things, because the more different ways or angles you can look at a certain situation or certain topic, I think, like, the deeper perspective you can get and the greater understanding you can have for that, So whether that's if you're looking at wealth, and now we're talking about it in these abstract ways, kind of deviating from the traditional definition, then
My video just kind of cut on me,
yeah, that's no worries. Just use the computer, my guy.
All right, back up and running.
All right, that's how we do it. Just bounce back and find a different way, find a different route.
That's it.
That's kind of like a metaphor for life.
100%. That's exactly it. You know what I mean? So it's so good. Like, it is so good. Such a great metaphor, because I don't know if I touched on it last week, but an event will happen in life, and that may cause someone to be like, crap, because this happened, because A happened, B can happen. Now, let me bring maybe more like context to this, like almost like a real life example. You have an appointment, right? And it's like, well, because traffic happened, I couldn't make my appointment on time, right? And you didn't let the person know, for example. I'm really just making this example up on the spot. But, like, you not letting the person know you couldn't make it on time has nothing to do with traffic. So I guess what I'm getting at is you have two different events that are not correlated, but because one might be not, the show cannot go on, such that this show goes on. Because and as human beings, you just got to look for yourself. Where do you allow that to happen in your life? Because we do it all the time. We do it often. And without that certain level of accountability, and having that accountability partner kind of hold you to account, sometimes you will let yourself off the hook. I've let myself off the hook. Well, that happened, so I'll deal with it another time. Really? So, yeah, that was a little tangent, but yeah, keep going. Sorry, my apologies.
Nah, because what you were saying was important, because it reminds me of something I read a few years back, and it was talking about how, like, I don't know how he got to the formula, but anyways, he had a formula that he wrote, the author Jack Canfield, and he was saying, like, the event plus your response will dictate the outcome, So it's like a lot of times an event will happen, and let's say the event's like like you guys lose a game, for example. I know we used this example last game, and it's like the response could be like, you blame, oh, we lost because of this guy or that guy did this. So, like, that's how you respond to the event. But if the loss happens, then what's the outcome from that? Now the team has no chemistry. Now you guys aren't on the same page, or the rest of your evening's ruined because you ruminated about the loss of the game. But it's like, now you lose the game. And like you said in the last episode, go check it out, people, if you didn't. Like, you look at the film, you learn the lessons, you apply it into the practice so that the next game, the same event doesn't happen. Now the outcome is growth, advancement. So it's like, back to what happened with your camera. It's like, yo, keep it on the fly. I'm gonna keep talking. Let me try to wait till Marcus gets the video. Oh, yo, he realized the video cut out. Boom, get on the next. Oh, we keep it rolling. Like, And I think like that's just a great metaphor. People gem like people can take from that, and I'm gonna take from that, you know, because I have a lot of things kind of planned out for the next coming week, where I'm like, yo, big things are gonna be popping, and if they don't pop this way, I'm gonna just bounce back and find a different way, find a different route. So that might just be what I ain't gonna say that might be. I'm not afraid to kind of share my personal beliefs, but I think like that's like God gives you these hints or like these signs kind of along your way, and it's like it's up to you whether you read them or you interpret them or heed like the lessons, or if you keep making the same mistake to you get what I'm saying? I feel like
I think
along
it's
your journey.
beautiful too because, like, and what I'll say is, I'd say even take this on as an assignment. And I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to all the viewers. Like, take this on in your life. Like, just go throughout the next week and just check in with yourself. You know what I mean? When do you allow, if you've given your word to do something, or you've given a promise to do something by a certain time, and an event happens, and you no longer do that event or that other what you gave your word to originally, just be aware of it. And I'm not even saying do something about it, but just check for yourself how often you may let yourself off the hook because of, an excuse. You know what I mean? So an event happened. What was your response? And just be aware of it. And then, okay, fine, cool. That was my response. And, oh, that was the outcome. Okay. And just check in. Again, don't do anything. Just be aware. Just increase that level of awareness to that whole event, response, outcome. And just catch yourself.
Well, you know what I was thinking is sometimes the outcome oh I was gonna say sometimes the outcome is gonna be the outcome regardless of your response. But even if that's the case, that shouldn't neglect your response from being your responsibility.
Well,
If that makes sense.
one thing you have no control over, because one thing we got to pay attention to in life is what can you control. The outcome, most often than not, you have no control over. We always have control over your actions. So you always have control over your response. The event you have no control over. An event happens. Once the event happens, you choose how you respond. And your response will yield a certain outcome.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like, even when you look at the word response, it's like, that doesn't sound like responsibility for no reason. The two are kind of interrelated. So what I'm saying is like, let me break it to a real example, like on this show, I love to keep it real as I can. And it's like these episodes we recorded originally, we had set out a schedule or a plan of how we were going to release them and how we were going to go about, I guess, kind of getting them out. But due to my own lack of making the episodes a priority, I feel like the original timeline, which we had planned, didn't go according to the original plan. And it's like with the newborn baby now and us meeting last week to kind of release these next upcoming episodes and do the program, it's like, okay, the event is us putting together a plan of action or how this is going to come about. And then the event, okay, that's like the plan, but then the event is, okay, with things not going according to plan, or in regards to having the time that you thought you would have versus the time required with the newborn this time around, it's like, okay, my lack of response or lack of communication, I feel like isn't right, so to speak. So it's like, I'm thinking, okay, if we can put the episode out on Tuesday, I know we have a meeting on Saturday. Tuesday comes, yo, I don't have the time to do the episodes. I have to do this, I have to do this. And it's like, I should have communicated, yo, this is what happened. This is now the next course of action, instead of just, yo, you know what, I'll just release them Friday, same thing, and still be out before our next meeting anyways. You get what I'm saying?
No, I was trying to like. So if I'm looking at the whole event response outcome, what is the outcome? Like, let's dissect it
So that's
piece
what I
by
was
piece.
saying.
And,
Because
and
I was
as
like,
and as we're communicating, I want people to look in their life. You know what I mean? Not even just with our example, but look in your life where this may show up. So the outcome is what? Having the videos out? Is that what you're trying to say? Or not?
right. But
Okay.
so that's what I was saying. It's like either way, the outcome's the same. But in reality, no, it's not. Because let's say someone's looking on Wednesday and they're scrolling on YouTube or whatever, and it's like this piece of content's not out there, or they're searching on a podcast for, let me hear something about some wealth creation, and this isn't there. It's like there's a missed opportunity, there's a missed connection, there's a missed divine kind of, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I'm trying to circle back. So we're saying, because I believe you said the outcome will be the same in certain situations, regardless of our response.
That's what
Did
I
I
was
get that?
wondering, but after thinking about it, I don't think so. I think the response to the event, regardless of if it may or may influence the outcome, is still your responsibility. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so I'd say yes, it would be your responsibility, right? And I guess you see where like response and responsibility, and that's what we have control over. Like we have full autonomy and control over that aspect in that quote unquote equation.
Yeah. But that's the other thing that I was trying to allude to, is sometimes people relinquish that control and take no action or do no response to the event.
Correct.
But what I am, uh, I guess, saying, or also kind of holding my own self accountable to publicly, is like to take that responsibility to respond appropriately for the event.
Correct. And I think that's all we're saying. So we're probably saying the same thing from the very beginning.
Word.
Right? And that's it.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, I don't know, that's that idea though of having a holistic approach to wealth. I think is very, very important though, man. Just reflecting back now to it, because originally I know like the first kind of focus for like what we were gonna discuss would be like financial related. But I think yeah, just recognizing that it's very important. We do touch on like the other aspects as well, as and start to incorporate that into the program.
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like we started, where we started, they are very foundational. It's very important for one to, create wealth for now and for future generations. 100%. We stand strong in that. And, you know, both you and I, right, and the listeners have a high interest in growth and personal development. And mindset is a strong element to having one's dreams fulfilled, right? Whether it be wealth or, fitness goals or whatever it is. Like, so, having this holistic approach that you speak of, and bringing these conversations and these types of conversations, accountability, right? Event response outcome. I mean, shifting one's, paradigm and the way in which they're thinking. All of these are very important pieces to fulfill on that bigger game.
True. Well, hold up, Jessica's calling me.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Yeah. Don't my home. Yeah, for sure. No problem. No, we're on the Zoom right now. Okay, just message me on the way. All right, bye. Yo, my wife said, "What up, bro?"
Tell her say hi, yo.
Yeah,
How's the
yeah. I'll
babies?
just get home. Yeah, but I don't know, bro. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yo. You know what?
Yo, you're in a
Yo,
deep thought, yo.
episode
Say it.
aside. Huh? What was I gonna say? What were
Go
you?
ahead,
What?
go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah,
No, I say you're in a deep thought, yo. Say what you're gonna say.
yeah, man. I was gonna say, bro. It's. I know last episode, like I asked you to kind of hold me accountable, cause when I showed you like everything, the plan and like what's happening this year and like what I want to do and stuff like that, like you said everything was great, but like who's gonna hold you accountable? And it's like that's like the piece I didn't consider. And it's like when I asked you to like hold me accountable, and then you shared like how like that person for you is your wife, and like kind of like how you guys kind of hold one another accountable. It's like I don't know, that's something that I would like to kind of develop, I guess, with my wife. And I feel like we're growing and getting towards that. But I guess with especially with me inviting her to kind of partner up in my business and like kind of be uh like my, I don't know what you want to call it, like my right hand man, so to speak, or like, you know what I'm saying, or like the senior vice president, or whatever you want to call it, or like the I don't want to say co-founder, but like just like the, you know what I'm saying, like the
I
person the
hear you.
CEO turns to, like in the gangster movies, the consigliere, you know, like the Godfather would have his advisor or something like that that he would be able to talk to and bounce ideas off of and get feedback about how to make these strategic moves and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, kind of now being at the beginning of trying to really strengthen that partnership in a business sense. It's um it's definitely a learning experience, learning to kind of relinquish that individuality and that sense of solo entrepreneur, or like maven, or like you get what I'm saying, and now start to try to learn how to better partner up and kind of grow like a team, so to speak. And just making that transition is, it's not easy, bro. And I just wanted to kind of, I don't know, get that off my chest and express that, and also recognize that like the fact that you kind of said that what you were saying about you and your wife, that's like um I don't want to say inspiring, but like it's kind of what you were saying, like rubbing off, like yeah, I wanted to be more locked in and more on the same page and more in tune, not just in the familial sense or romantically, but like back again holistically, you know. So whether that's my business too, like yeah, that too, like holistic, like locked in. And it's like, I don't know, just kind of what we were saying in the previous episodes about progression and looking to get better. It's like, even in my relationship, I'm always looking like, yo, how can I elevate our relationship to the next level? Or how can we strengthen our bond and form that unity? And I just wanted to ask you, because I feel like I can learn some things from you, having you having more kind of experience as a father, and you know, just like with the length of time, and as well as being married for a longer period of time than me. It's like, what 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 are some kind of maybe pitfalls that I can avoid having, um, maybe partnering up with my wife in business, or having her hold me accountable? Or what are some things that we can kind of put in place that kind of maybe system, or I don't know, or just any ideas or thoughts you have on this little tangent or ramble that I was kind of doing just now?
Yeah, there's a lot you said, and I think one thing I do want to quickly touch on is the concept of leadership and being a leader and what that looks like. Um, I'll quickly touch on that, but one thing with respect to, what it could look like in any relationship, I think it's first and foremost having the conversation, right? And once that conversation is started with respect to, this is what maybe we may be up to as a family, or this is what I'm up to, in the relationship, and, just having that open dialogue and requesting that support, and giving them the space to say yes or no is important. And if you make the request and say, I want you to, be my accountability partner, again, understand that's a request, which they could say yes or no to. So given that they say yes to that, what does that structure look like? That's ever evolving. You can create a structure now what that could look like, and, it may work and it may not. However, as long as you guys are willing to stay in that type of conversation, say, hey, this is what, I'm counting on you for, is what I'm, quote unquote, expecting of you for us, then you can always evolve that level of conversation, those structures. So there is no right structure, so to speak, right? Because it could look like meetings, it could look like weekly meetings, it could look like daily meetings. Like, it could look like whatever you want. You create the structure that works for both of you guys, and understand that if there's ever a breakdown in what gets created, you just go back to the drawing board and create again and evolve from there. So that is what I would say with respect to accountability. And lastly, again, it'll look like tough conversations, right? So as long as you both can be willing, as long as you are both willing to be in those types of conversations, that could strike a different chord. Because when it comes to partners in relationships, no one would know you better than your partner. So they already know what could tick you off and what doesn't tick you off, right? So given that, you have to understand that where that conversation is stemming from and coming from, you have to receive it from a place of love, knowing that they're saying what they're saying as a contribution to me and not because they're getting at me. They're not attacking me. So as long as one is willing to be in that type of conversation with their partner, then it could work. Because if they're not, and they're always like they're being attacked, forget it. Find a new partner, because it will impact, and it can have an impact on the actual marriage. So as long as you're able to compartmentalize the two and understand that, okay, it's not my wife speaking to me now, or it's not my husband speaking to me now, it's my partner speaking to me now, like my business partner. And then, okay, cool. Business is over. Now my wife is present. So it will take something.
True. Yeah, man, I think that was a beautiful answer, perfect answer to all of the questions I was asking, in the sense of what kind of pitfalls to avoid and what kind of systems you can set in place, and just kind of what kind of mindset or mind frame is kind of beneficial, in the sense of whether that's you choose to compartmentalize or, and I think that was very important too, how you said, first, are they even open to partnering with you in that respect, or are they even open to holding you accountable, or do you guys even have that type of relationship? And I think that's kind of like we say a lot of times in regards to investments and stuff, like depending on the individuals, in their particular circumstance. But yeah, for me personally, I just want to say thank you, y'all, because a lot of those gems I'm gonna put into place.
You're welcome. And again, there's no right or wrong answer, you know what I mean? And again, you got to be willing and got to be with, and I don't say you speaking to you personally, but in creating these relationships, you have to you have to be with a yes just as much as you could be with a no. Okay, and I'll say it again. You got to be with a no just as much as you could be with a yes.
And what do you mean by that?
So all I'm saying is, if the request is, and I'll use the context here, we're talking about, creating a relationship with someone. It's like, hey, I want you to, be partner with me in, this endeavor that we're up to. No, I don't want that responsibility. You got to hear it from there and be like, all right, cool, I get that. And I love you no less. And not, yeah, I want to be like, yes, I got my ride or die, we're going to do this. You know what I mean? that level of excitement and energy has got to be there, even if it's a no. All right, wicked, I got this, and I still love you. I don't love you any less. You know, what are we doing? What's for dinner? You mean, how are we still going to build our life? And then you go find that partner somewhere else.
True indeed. True indeed. But I like what you said though about recognizing that, like, having a mind frame, I guess. But you know what I think is a great I guess nugget, or like just something I want to, I guess, put maybe for my future reference, is to kind of set up the space to have those conversations, you know, because if they were to come out the blue or in the middle of a different conversation, then I feel like it's more likely or more susceptible to come across as like, yo, why is this person getting at me? Or like, yo, why they, you get what I'm saying? But I feel like,
Correct.
you're like, okay, we're having a business meeting. Like, okay, like, this isn't personal. We're talking about the business. Like, it just brings a different frame of mind and allows you to approach it from, okay, like, you get what I'm saying?
100%. And those are the structures that you put in place. You know what I mean? Like, this time we're going to talk about business. And then you enter the space as such. It's all about creating intentions in conversations. You know what I mean? Because, again, as I'm learning more and more, as I'm growing and having conversations with people, if the intention is not set, then you have conversations with people and they're like, yo, what conversation are you in? And then they're not on the same track, so to speak. So if the intention is not set for the conversation powerfully, then you aren't related to each other. You're in different conversations. Then it comes across as, yo, where did this come from?
True. True indeed. So let me ask you a question then. It's kind of a loaded question. Like, I already kind of know your stance, but I think it's something that people can also consider and think about too, especially the younger guys and girls, whoever's watching. And I feel like in regards to having like a wealthy life, do you think marriage is, I guess, an adherence? That's the wrong word. Is a hindrance, or is a accelerant towards that?
It's a great question. I don't have the stats to say it's either A or B. I believe, yeah, I don't have the stats to say it's A or B because I think it comes down to who is your partner. If we're talking about marriage, it depends on who is your partner. I mean, if your partner is willing to grow with you and understand the game that you're out to play and willing to be your partner, and when I say partner, I don't mean business partner, but partner in, okay, this is what my husband or this is what my wife is up to, and I'm going to support them. Then of course, because you guys are on the same page, like you guys understand the game that's being played, you know what I mean, with other responsibilities too. And if you're not in a marriage, you could still achieve a certain level of success. So I don't have this, again, I don't have the statistics to say that one is an accelerant towards the other. And yeah, I think that would be it. I can't say that one is an accelerant towards the other.
I hear you. But I think it's very interesting the perspective that you take on even when you're talking about marriage, in the sense of the frequency that you use the word partnership. And I think that this is kind of a new phenomenon, I guess, amongst our generation, where generations before us, it didn't really work in that manner, you know? It wasn't necessarily equal yoke in the sense of that, like, both in the relationship were equal partners, so to speak. And I think kind of for our generation to be maybe the first generation where this is kind of more commonplace, I think it's how do I explain? It's still kind of evolving and growing in the sense of what does that look like, you know? what I'm saying, or you're not really picking up what I'm putting down?
Just say the last part again. Just the
It
last part.
like it's starting to evolve. What does a partnership between a man and woman in marriage today look like
Hmm.
versus, I guess, generations past? And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like us kind of growing up in a household that might have not been uh, partnership in the sense, it's like
Mm-hmm.
for us to now form that from scratch. um, I think it's not only just setting up the next generation or like the next women to come to feel that sense of empowerment and togetherness as one in a marriage, but I think like we're kind of like the the first generation, so to speak, where that's kind of becoming common. If that makes sense, if what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I got that.
And it's like, so for us as the first generation, especially for maybe the young guys newer in marriage, it kind of maybe takes a bit of time for them to really understand what does an ideal partnership look like. And
Sure.
I feel like, is that just the byproduct of experience and communication with your partner to figure out what is exactly is expected from each person? Or I don't know.
Well, what I say to that is communication is at the foundation of any relationship. You know what I mean? Like one's world is created through communication, through conversation. That is how worlds are created. In the beginning, there was, you know, word, right? So I say that to say, in building a relationship, communication is key with respect to, even with respect to, um, I'm not sure if accountability is the right word, but you talked about even expectation. You mean what I can expect of one from the other? Because going into a relationship, there's going into relationship, there's hidden expectations already of what one expects the other to do. Right? So again, this is another conversation for integrity, but in relationships, there's a hidden expectation already of what is expected of others to do. So if you're going out living life, however you live life, not meeting the unmet expectations or unexpressed, maybe better said, the unexpressed expectations of the other person, then you have a conflict. But until you can come together and be like, well, this is what I expect of you. And then you can kind of come like, oh, wow, I actually had no idea. Well, I hear that and fine, I could fulfill on that. Or, oh, interesting. Well, you cannot count on me for this, but this is what you get. This is what you can count on me for.
Hmm.
And then you both could actually understand where you guys are both at in a relationship. And that will only come through communication. So, you know, is it trial and error? Is it experiences? It's all of that. And at the foundation, at the core of all of that is communication.
That's deep. And something I'm learning about communication, I guess, I was even kind of thinking about this last night and 2 nights ago, is it's like, it's not just what you say too. It's like how you say it that's important. And also recognizing how best to communicate or how best to deliver a message, like a message at the wrong time can be the difference between the message at a good time. It could be the same message said the same way, but if you say it at the wrong time, the other person may not be open to listen to what you're saying. So it's like recognizing not just the importance of the frequency of the communication or the method or the tone, but also like the timing, and just recognizing all these different aspects as well, because it's definitely a growing experience in the sense of doing something new for the first time, whether that's marriage or whether for younger guys, whether that's just dating. It's like learning how to communicate not just with the other sex, but like, yeah, just recognizing like how best to communicate with your person still.
Mhm. Oh man, this stuff is fun, man. It's ever evolving, and it's fun. I don't know. It's I think it's we will always be interacting with human beings
That's a fact.
until AI takes over the world. But until then, we'll always be interacting with human beings. So um, best understand how to communicate and how to build these relationships because it's foundational. Who else we have a relationship with? Siri barely understands you half the time, so forget that. But yeah, human beings will always be here, and these are the ones we're having relationships with. So let's understand how to communicate with them, and how to build any relationship. And this is bigger than just like a partnership of spouse, whether it be friendship, siblings, parenting. How to build powerful relationships, through communication.
Wow, man. I didn't think I was gonna, open up so much on these shows, to be honest, my guy. But I guess just like sometimes not even being aware of like maybe the cameras on and just like being able to just gain wisdom or share insight and just be able to open up. Like I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you and I appreciate the conversation and I appreciate you sharing your experiences not just with me but for everyone tuning in and just kind of um, building off what you were saying in the sense of building these relationships. Like I hope these people as they tune in and gain these episodes feel free to reach out, connect with us online, and like whether that's build a relationship even in person too. Like if you need anything real estate related or insurance related or investment related, we're always here for you guys. Or anything else related, like you hear something we talked with and you ever want to reach out, our socials will be in the description and stuff, or at Marcus Boy and then Tristan Scott Real Estate. Um, Once again, we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, wishing you guys much love and peace. Until the next
Absolutely.
time.
That's it. Until the next time. And again, I'm just curious too. We're just curious. Drop a comment. Like what are you taking away from our conversations and primarily this conversation? Just share. Like what was your biggest takeaway? And then we'll kind
Whether
of go from there.
publicly or directly.
Yeah, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Easy.
Peace.